Hello, hello. We see our attendees trickling in. Good morning. It's Woman Up Live, Woman Up Wednesday. It feels like a Tuesday, but it's a Wednesday after the holiday. And for those listening live or on the podcast or the replay, welcome to Woman Up. This is our monthly conversation where we bring leaders into the fold and get to hear all the great advice and insights and wisdom from esteemed guests. And I'll get to our esteemed guests in a minute, but I did want to give you all a brief overview of what Woman Up is. I hope you all know what Woman Up is. It is CAR's initiative to engage and empower women to help women find their voice in the real estate industry. And it started a little over 10 years ago. We're celebrating our 10th anniversary. I'm very excited about this. And we're going to our back to our roots. We are reigniting our why we're here, why we care, why we do this work. And we're going to Pasadena, the Pasadena Westin on August 19th. I hope you all will join us. Check it out on IamWomanUp.com. These fine ladies will be there with me. I can assure you, no pressure. And we're here today to really talk about how to use technology and we are overwhelmed with technology. Am I right? We are riddled with different tools and gadgets and different ways to communicate. Like, I can't remember the last time I communicated with Jamie. Was it in Instagram or was it on a text or was it in person? Was it on Zoom? So, same for Sam. Like, we are overwhelmed. And what we want to uncover with Jamie Tan and Samantha Tov today is to how to utilize technology in a way that is beneficial to our clients that we serve, our agents that we serve, our teams that we serve, and also so that we're not overwhelmed ourselves. So, how do we um, leverage technology to communicate effectively? And there's no better folks that could be on here with us than our esteemed guests. So I want to introduce Samantha Toth. She's a realtor, co-founder of Portfolio Real Estate. She's also the vice chair of CAR's Business Technology Forum on the CAR board. That means she's a director for the California Association of Realtors. She is a Woman Up wave maker. So you'll have to talk a little bit about the wave maker dinners, Sam. She's an advisor to our ARIA's Greater Sacramento chapter. She is past president and first female Asian president of the Sacramento Association in their 106-year history. And she's a qualified baddie. So thank you, Sam. We are so excited that you are here. And then we also have Jamie Tan, who is a founder and broker owner of Real Realty. Is a member of our executive committee, or is that I'm getting the years confused, but are you still on exec this
That
year?
was last year, but I am still on the board of directors for NAR and CAR. Yeah.
Yes, a very valued voice, but in addition to all the things she does for CAR and NAR, she's a true leader in the ARIA, the Asian Real Estate Association of America's board. She's immediate past president, but not for just 1 year, but for two. Jamie stepped in when needed, and she was also named NAR's 30 under 30. Now, this was a couple years ago, but she's still under 30. So give her some props for that. And she's RealTrend's top 1% of Asian agents nationwide. And she's also Aria's A-list. How many years running, Jamie?
Um, I think seven. Yeah.
7 years. So we have a treasure trove of wisdom
And I'm
here.
definitely not under 30 anymore. I'm going to be 35 soon.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, you're still a baddie as well. And so I want to take a moment to welcome you both and thank you for your time. Um, Again, we want to talk about communications, and these are both brokers. They both run teams and brokerages, and I want to understand from your perspective how set how you think about the communication standards in your brokerage or with your team. Um, as a leader, how do you ensure that your voice is instilled throughout the communications that your agents or your team members may or may not do? So I'm going to start with Jamie on this one. What are your thoughts on communication standards for your brokerage?
Yeah, so I love this topic because I think communication is honestly one of the biggest things that determines whether a client or also an agent's experience feels either calm and professional and organized or whether it's like very stressful and chaotic. So, one of the biggest standards I try to create as a broker owner is clarity. I want clients to always know what's happening currently, what comes next in the transaction, who's responsible for what, and who to contact. And same thing for agents. Because a lot of anxiety, I think, in the real estate transaction comes from more from uncertainty, not necessarily bad news or something terrible happened, but just being confused and not knowing what to expect. So if you can answer people's frequently asked questions basically up front and then create predictable communication and let them know how to communicate with you and your team, they're much less likely to feel anxious throughout the transaction. And like, for example, as soon as we open escrow, it's as simple as sending out like a congratulations email with all the key contact info for the transaction, all the contingency dates, all of the timelines, what they need to be doing each week of the escrow process. So they can always look back to that if they have a quick question, right? And for agents, it's important to have clear checklists and documented workflow so that they can follow a clear process from beginning to end, whether they're onboarding to the team or whether they're just doing a single transaction, so they can deliver a more consistent experience to clients, regardless of who the client is working with on the team. So I think documenting communication through just checklists, workflows. It could be very simple. You don't really have to use any fancy programs necessarily, but just creates consistency. And so you're not always reinventing the wheel, and it's better than relying on memory because when you get busy, obviously, you can't always remember everything.
Oh, what? You can't rely on Outlook or email? Well, that I really love that. And here's the thing, that didn't just come out. Like you didn't just become a top producer. I'd love to hear like the origin story behind why you came up with that because I love that you send a congratulatory open escrow and here's what to expect. I mean, if all agents did this, this would kind of level the playing field. I'm sorry, but like not all agents do that, right?
Yeah.
And
I
so
think
how did you come up with that?
yeah. I think definitely when I first started, and I'm sure a lot of newer agents, they just operate more reactively, right? Like they're responding to their clients. Whenever their clients have a question, they hope that their clients don't have a question, right? Especially one that they can't answer.
Right.
And they're just kind of going through the workflow and going with the flow as the transaction happens rather than but obviously as you do more transactions you realize they have the same questions, the same issues. Obviously new things come up that you have to brainstorm and problem solve, but a lot of the times the same thing keeps happening and you can prevent it. So instead of responding, you kind of like lead the transaction to success by having a system and guiding them to that. So I realized that, like, I'm writing the same email over and over. I'm writing the same like the why isn't this a template, right? I would save so much time if I had these all in templates and I could just copy and paste and change it out. So it's really just kind of realizing that I was reinventing the wheel every day for no reason when I didn't need to.
Yeah. And also, I think it was listening to the questions that come in, right?
Mm.
Like over and over, you saw some patterns. And that's a key leadership move right there, because if you're not listening to the people you serve, how can you serve them better? And so that's
Correct.
kind of the takeaway that I'm hearing from you, Jamie. Thank you. Let's go with Samantha, and you're also a top producer. You have dealt with the ins and outs of transactions. And where do you see the biggest communication breakdown, and how have you kind of, taken steps to avoid those breakdowns?
Within our brokerage, there's so many different software and so many systems out there. But for me, I feel like the best way for me to communicate with my agents is still through WhatsApp. It's much easier and faster with all the different phones that they have and text messaging to get lost. But I'm very lucky that I'm with a brokerage that has high technology with systems in place for my brokerage. I don't think we would have grown portfolio to being like 50, 60 agents without the systems in place. But having a great team behind you, a great TC with calendar invites, as soon as we get into contract, everything gets auto-populated in my calendar. My calendar is always full. Every day there's something. But the communication is so key, but it's working with your team and having the back end is very crucial. I tell all my agents is all hands-on training, right? But when they try to put stuff together. It's nice that they CC me and my partner Judy. And that speaks volume when you have people that's been in the business a long time as we are, 20 plus years, and people know us. It helps our agents along faster and without like some of my newer agents, especially like my daughter. She wrote it on email. It was my client, but I let her take lead and CC me. Another agent thought that she was newer and tried to bully her, yelled at her. I'm all like, oh my God. I told my buyer, we don't need to buy that house. I'm going to make her look really bad. And she's like, we don't have to respond to her emails. We don't have to respond to stuff like that. I think professionalism in our business goes a long way. When people take advantage of people, it doesn't make sense. So having the systems in place and having the leadership, mentoring you and guiding you, it's going to take you that much further in success because you don't want to be blacklisted with people. My daughter always says this, Mom, you always have a different tone. You answer the phone, you're a different person. You're so soft spoken. I go, I don't know where that comes from, because you're always wanting to be like, you don't know if it's a client or an agent that you want to put a deal together, but communication is through your phone, your text message, your emails, and how you communicate is the key of success, right? But for just the standard is just having your system. There's so many CRMs right now. We use Follow Up Boss, which is really good and allocating and assigning and stuff. And my agent says they love it. They really love. I'm not pushing anything, but that's what we use, and it's working for us.
And how do you, thank you for sharing. How do you set the expectation? So you onboard, let's just use your daughter as an example. When you first onboarded her, what did you, what were the steps that you took with her to make sure that effective communication was set and that she was following up with clients, making sure that the transaction moved along? How did you walk
I
us through
tell her
that?
that timeline is crucial. You have all that timeline. You should at least follow up at least once a week with your clients just to check in. Even if there's nothing at all, you should put like a Tuesday or a Wednesday check in because Monday's always chaotic and catch up, right? But if you have systems in place and you just, soft touch, even like from open houses and whatnot, the more you lean and touch them, give them love, I think it shows in how you can capture those clients as well. Some people forget about that. I know that AI is huge and they think that we can replace us as realtors, but there's nothing that can replace with the heart, with how you feel and how you're going to love on your clients. That's really something that's irreplaceable.
Yeah, great. And I'm gonna it's in the chat. Amen to that, right? And it's really about like what our why is in this industry. And that's why, our whole theme for Woman Up this year is reignite your why, because when you think about the why behind what you do every day, it's not for a paycheck. Of course, that's helpful, right? But it's really about this broader professional career that you've built. It's not, I'm just chasing a paycheck. It's about getting people into homes. And I've seen that from both of you. I'd love to hear, Jamie, how you onboard new agents and how you make sure that that why is instilled in what they do every day.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of onboarding, we try to make it as simple as possible with just like a checklist, depending on if you're a new agent or if you're transitioning from another brokerage, so that as soon as you sign all your documents, there's just all the things that you need to do to get started and, make your new business cards and all of those things. There's links to all of the templates and everything like that and how to order them. And try to keep that as simple as possible. And then in terms of new agents, either myself or a more experienced agent on the team will take on mentorship of them for at least the first like 3 to 5 transactions that they do. So we will kind of oversee all of the things that they're doing. Some agents need a lot more hand holding and some of them are more independent and able to kind of figure it out. But obviously, we want to make sure that we're overseeing it and then kind of helping them through that. Obviously, whatever problems come up with each transaction is an opportunity for them to learn that problem solving and how to get through it. So we try to use that to obviously teach them how to become a better agent and hopefully handle the transactions themselves moving forward.
Yeah, and I guess the key is teaching them, right? Setting that expectation so that they
Yeah, definitely. And then whenever I have issues in any of my transactions or I help other agents on the team with their issues, and once we figure out the solution and it closes, I tell everyone about it, at our next team meeting, because it's like a really great learning opportunity for everyone. And everyone will ask questions like, what did you do? What if this had happened? Blah, blah, blah. And we can all discuss it and figure out how to learn from it.
I ditto that. Life experiences and transaction is how you grow and how you learn. One of my agents, Lindsay, when she first started, she goes, "Oh my God, it's so overwhelming," or this goes, that goes. I go, "You're gonna get roadblocks, but every transaction is a learning transaction." So every time she comes up with an issue, she goes, "Sam said this is my learning one. I'm going to learn from this one. I'm going to grow." And it's made her so successful because every transaction is going to be different. Every situation is going to be different. But we do the same thing like Jamie. We share it at all of our team meetings or trainings and stuff because that's what people want to know. You can't really learn in textbook until you do a transaction, until you hit that roadblock, then you're going to figure out the situation.
agreed, agreed. And we are overwhelmed with, I think that's the other thing is communication, how to communicate, where to communicate. I love the lesson in the failures because that's actually what we've shared all through the 10 years of Woman Up is like success is riddled with failure. The path to success is riddled with failure. And it's not about the failure, really. It's about how you recover from that failure, how you learn from that failure, uh, and how you implement ways so that that doesn't happen again. Right. And so I guess this goes back to a core question. What types of communication channels do you put in place, either with your clients or with your agents or both, so that those breakdowns don't occur, so that, the failed experiment from transactions of lore really don't happen again, that history doesn't repeat itself. Jamie, do you want to share?
Um, I'm sorry, what was the how does history not repeat itself?
Yeah, well, it's so that history doesn't repeat itself. But do you have like defined communication channels that you put into place?
Yeah, so for clients, I think email is still the main channel of communication for anything very important because we want a clear, written, documented record and also want clients to be able to easily go back to it and see it and we're all on the same page. Texting or WhatsApp or whatever the client prefers is always easier for quicker updates and responsiveness. And then I think like phone calls and Zoom are good for like more emotional conversations and negotiations and things like that. But then whenever anything that's like strategy that's discussed or nuanced that's like a little more complicated in the phone call or Zoom, I usually still like to follow up with like a summary email afterwards so that they know what I meant if they were confused, and also we all are on the same page and have like a written record again. I think you think about these things more obviously once you've had issues in your transaction, right? And then you have to go back and look through all your records and then prove yourself innocent or whatever, right? So when you have these written, documented emails and writing with the timestamp, it really can protect you a lot in the future, and it makes everything a lot more clear. Because I think, again, clarity and understanding makes everyone more confident in the transaction.
And especially the consumer, right? Your clients, like there is no question that you're doing work for them, but when they don't know it, how how do they value you as their realtor, right? And I think it's up to us. It's up to you, Jamie. It's up to you, Samantha. It's up to everybody who's in the real estate agency to make sure that they're communicating their value, and that's value.
Yeah,
To me,
definitely.
that's value. Samantha, there's so many different tools, and you talked about a couple, right? WhatsApp, and like, how do you discern what tools you implement, and how do we deal with that shiny object syndrome?
It goes by client. Client per client is very different. I know that probably Jamie uses WeChat too. WeChat is an Asian social media, so you do whatever platform that they are comfortable. I have a client that they interview a bunch of agents and they hired me and they just gave me the keys. They go, "We're flying out today to move to India. Here's our keys to our house. You take care of everything." I'm like, and then he goes, I only want to communicate through this portal now, because I'm going to turn off my cell. So you do whatever's that works for them, but always checking it in. You always ask them what's the best way to communicate, right? Going back to what Jamie just said earlier, document everything. Like if my agents or text me or WhatsApp me an issue, I'll pick up the phone and we'll talk about it because I don't want to put it all in writing because that could be used against you. You want to talk it out. And then asked her, how are you going to respond? And then I go put it all in an email. If something happens, CC Casey, our broker, make sure that's all documented. Like this morning email, he goes, "You said it perfectly, how you responded. It was perfect." So conversations, writing, you have to document it. If you have a conversation with a client, follow up with an email. Make sure that everybody's in agreement, CC everybody that's involved. So there's no he says, she said, so it's all right there. Even in offers or want to offer, always respond. Email is going to be always number one for anybody's workflow, and the follow-ups would be the systems in place, which is whatever CRM that people are using. But we work with every client's very different communication. But the number one things that we use is probably WhatsApp internal with our company and our agents. But text message and email is always going to be number one.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a really important thing for us to all remember. Samantha, you said you reached out to your broker.
Mhm.
I think it's so important to know that you have a party, like a whole system in place to protect you and to
Mhm.
protect your clients, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times we talk about the real estate industry and real estate agents in particular that we're, alone, industry, we're sole practitioners and all of that. You are, right? But you hang your license with a broker, you can reach out to that broker, and you should be able to reach out to that broker to ask them advice to make sure that you're doing exactly what Samantha just explained. Like you're making sure that you are serving the client at not only at the highest level, but in the right way for that brokerage. And
Mhm.
every broker's different. You want to make sure that you're having these communications with your broker. You're not in it alone. So thank you for sharing that. And the other thing that I want to double down on there was you're setting expectations with each client, right? Like you're making sure that the client you're not going to text the client if they don't have like international, text messaging service, right? Like you're working with each individual client, and that's what we do. I mean, we're a bespoke industry. I hate to say it, but we are. You tailor each communication style and each communication method with each client. And that, I mean, to me, that shows your success, right? Both of you have huge success in this industry, and you're hearing why, everybody. I want you to know that. Can we touch a little bit on AI since we're talking about communication channels and all the tools that we're using? How do each of you use AI? How and where are the, kind of pitfalls we need to be thinking about when it comes to AI? Because we're hearing everyone is using it, especially I want to be clear, consumers. Consumers are using AI. They're using different tools. They're, playing around with the different services. And I'd love to hear a little bit about what you two are doing. Who wants to go first? Jamie.
I can go, yeah. So, I mean, I use AI all day, every day. I use it for everything. And the way that I use it is just basically just save me time, right? I'll use ChatGPT or Claude for brainstorming, refining messages, organizing my thoughts, outlining presentations, creating workflows. I've even used Claude Code to create apps and things for my brokerage that they can utilize for simple tasks, and helping draft, emails faster. But you have to keep in mind that AI can be wrong and you have to fact check and double check everything. And sometimes I'll even run it through multiple AIs and then one will figure out that the other one was wrong. Once I was being lazy and I was trying to calculate the prorated rent for like 18 out of 30 days. And I was like too lazy to get my calculator out. So I put it in chat and it was wrong. It was funny because it was actually for my dad. And I was like, oh, I don't need to double check this. So I sent it to him and he's like, did you forget how to do math? And I was like, wait, what? And then it was totally off. So, you have to be really careful. You have to fact check everything, proofread everything, double check everything 5 times.
Yeah.
But the point is that you can get started so much faster and save so much time. You can do the same task, that would used to take hours possibly in 30 minutes. So I think it's just really important to learn how to use them properly. Like, for example, creating a slide deck, you can use Gamma. You can use ChatGPT or Claude to outline the slides first. You can paste it into Gamma and actually create the slides for you. And it never looks perfect, but it's a great place to start. You probably just saved a couple of hours that it would have taken to start the slide deck, right? And AI is obviously incorporated into like almost every app we use now, right? Even when you're editing videos for a reel, when you use CapCut or any of those other editing programs, they have so many AI features to help you clean the background or brighten the colors or do things where you used to have to do everything manually and it would take hours and hours, and now it takes 30 minutes. So I think the goal is never to replace yourself or sound like a robot or sound like AI. The goal is that your clients don't feel like you're using AI, but now you're able to service 10 times more clients because you're so efficient. And the idea is that with that extra time, you can actually focus on your in-person connections and relationships because that's what's going to differentiate you from other agents in the future when everyone is relying on AI or in any industry, really. So I think people think that AI creates less personal communication, but for me, it actually creates better communication because it frees up my time doing mundane tasks that I don't necessarily need to spend so much time doing, and I can go out and meet more people, have more lunches, and talk to people, go to more networking events and things like that.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. I think you nailed it. It's what do we do best? What do you do best as a realtor in the space? It's really getting out there and talking to people and understanding expectations, which AI can't do yet, and maybe never. Uh,
Right.
Samantha, what about you? How do you use
I
AI?
so my daughter's a mechanical engineer and she gets mad at me when I use AI or chat. She goes, "Mom, you're killing the environment. You're killing." So I'm not allowed to use it in front of my daughter, but I
How
do
old is
use
your
it for my
daughter?
business.
How old is your daughter? Because I got the same thing from my sister. She's 34.
My daughter's 27. She oversees her own division at Strikers. She makes little
Wow.
tiny camera that go up to your body and she's saving lives. She's in her own thing, but I get in trouble. I'm not allowed to use it around her.
It's okay. We won't send her this recording.
Yeah. So, but I do what Jamie exactly says, I double check but it makes you look better, I guess, in front of clients when you're typing up all these professional emails and, with the auto spells and stuff and puts in sentence. I'll be typing along all my stuff into chat or Gemini. And I always like, okay, make bullet points, highlight this and stuff. And you're just typing away and it just does it for you. So, but you do have to fact check because there's stuff in there that could be wrong. But the more I think you talk to your AI, talk to whatever platform you're using every day, it gets to know who you are and how you word things. And it really, so it can sound like you. But if you're new to it, I would say try to like feed it as much information about yourself, about just how you are and how you talk. So when it does create the email, it sounds like you and not sound like someone else that you're not using all these big words that I don't really use the big words. I use simplified words, right? Because we're all human beings. The big words is doctors and professors and stuff, but we're not. We're just like, we just want to help you sell the biggest thing in your life and get you to like, stay out of jail, but also be human beings and not trying to over impress you with words that doesn't even come out of your vocabulary normally. But yes.
And staying out of jail is a very extreme case. I mean, we're not
Yeah.
talking about um that right now, but we actually I will take a moment to say at the California Association of Realtors, one of the things that we want to ensure, our mission is to make sure that realtors are embedded in the transaction, are centric to the
Mhm.
transaction and successful at it, right? And I think um, this is a very transformative tool. It's transforming industries, including ours. And I think we also want to make sure that we're not putting our heads in the sand, but we're actually bringing forth tools that keep the realtor and the agent, well, the realtor human in the loop. And I think you're hearing from Jamie and Samantha how they're utilizing this tool to be able to be a better realtor. And that's, I think, the bottom line story with AI. And just know that your trade association is working hard to make sure that we bring you tools, services, and keeping the realtor in the transaction so that you can serve your clients, right? We want to make sure that there's a human aspect to this. And the DRE says, you can't conduct real estate without being human. So it is a very it shows a humanity when you think about the real estate transaction, how tough things get, right? And when things get tough, you cannot AI that communication. You have to sit face to face with your client. So maybe Jamie, let's talk a little bit about how you deal with, issues that bubble up or when communication gets hard, what your remedy for that is, and maybe with an example or two of a real life example that could help us picture it.
Yeah, I think you know, obviously with real estate, we're dealing with high stakes kind of thing, and it's like an important one of the biggest financial decisions they could ever make, and sometimes clients can get very emotional. And I think it's important as the agent to stay very, very professional and keep your tone professional and not feel make not create more anxiety for the clients. I've dealt with clients pretty often actually that disagree with each other even, right? Like for example, sometimes you have a husband and wife who are in the midst of a divorce and they both hire you to sell a property, but they don't agree with each other, right? So I've had that happen in the past where I'm in the middle and they're screaming at each other, even with their attorneys and everyone on the phone. I'm the only one really that's in the middle, right? Because they have their own attorneys on each side, and I'm like trying to keep everyone calm and be in the middle. So I think it's like really listening to I mean, I was able to kind of get through that transaction because I tried to really put myself in each party's shoes, really listen to what their, situation is and help them figure out how to handle the other party in a way that made sense and is still neutral and everyone hopefully comes out of the transaction feeling good about it, but that can be very difficult. I've also dealt with, helping a trust with several siblings or family members sell a property after, a family member has passed. And not only are they emotional about the death of a family member, but now oftentimes they're not in agreement on how to sell the property or the price or the terms or how quickly they need to move or anything like that. So I think as an agent, you just really need to focus on the facts and the expectations. Let them know what the possible outcomes are, what the risks are of each method of solving that problem, and then really you have to let them make the decision together in the end. But the way that you guide them, your tone and your kind of communication will make the transaction a lot easier and hopefully less emotional.
Amen. And what you just described, the listening, the empathy, the emotional intelligence it takes to discern between the two, um, that's humanity right there. That's the human element to the transaction. And we need to double down as an industry to be able to serve our clients. So I love
We
that.
didn't sign up to be, therapists or psychologists, but sometimes we have to be a little bit.
Seriously.
Yeah.
There's very transferable skills, okay?
Yes, and someone in the
We will.
audience said like tone is the main culprit. It's so true. Like if you start getting a little agitated and it starts showing in your tone, that's going to change the entire conversation. Everyone's going to be targeted at you now, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the things that you don't pick up in a text message or an email or an AI chatbot, right? Samantha, what about you? How do you what structure do you put in place? Maybe some examples that you've recently to, avoid some of the um escalating tension or confusion that different communication channels could create.
I always tell my agents, don't get mad, don't be yelling or any of that stuff. You got to maintain your professionalism because that's what they hire us for. We're the unpaid therapists, the median, the all in between, right? There was a infographic one time that says realtor, but then it has all these different hats that you are to your clients. But you just try to be there and listen, like what Jamie says, to both sides. And then, even you've talked to them separately. If I've done a lot of divorce sales and having gone through it myself, I understand both sides' feelings, but you just have to put yourself in their shoes and how would you handle it without overreacting. I think overreacting and raising your tone is not the way to solve anything. There's situations where I wanted to pull my hair out. I wanted to quit when there's a domino effect. I take stuff so personally that if I can't solve it, I can't sleep or I can't eat. But like yesterday, I put in an offer and it was this girl I've known since she was 12 years old. Now she's married with a kid. And then her husband calls me and he calls me Auntie Samantha or Auntie Sammy. What's the odds of us getting this house? And I'm all like, oh my God, I wanted to cry. He called me Auntie. And I just met this guy like twice. But that's the emotion that AI would never replace. And it makes you fight even harder to get them that house that they want. I mean, it's just like that goosebump feelings that just makes our job worth so much more worthwhile. And you want to share that with your client. You want to share that with not clients, but agents and your team and other people. This is why we do what we do. It's so rewarding just to have those two words that comes out. I was so touched. I got tears in my eyes just from that. I was like, I'll do whatever I can. I'll go 90%. I'm going to get you this house, but you never know. The seller is ultimately the seller's decision, right? But
Yeah.
you can share that. But again, all of my team and my company and how we succeed is in-person training, in-person share stories, and we share the wins. We share a lot of wins in my company, and that's motivation for any of our agents that are not producing. Oh my God, I need to get my act together. I want that celebration for me as well. But I help and mentor a lot of people that's not within my company as well. Anybody that has situation, they're like, I had somebody that was an hour away. She and her team leader didn't know the situation. The escrow company didn't know the situation. She called me and she's like, I know you're going to have an answer for me. I've never dealt with this as a foreign buyer out of Japan. What do I do? And or a seller. And I told her, here's a step, here's the CPA, here's this, here's the escrow that's specialized in that. But it's okay to share. It's okay to share your knowledge. It's okay to help people because it comes back tenfold. And I get that repeatedly through the years and helping other people. And they always call me and ask me questions. And I go, why do you do what you? Because I want more train professionals out there, regardless of what company they're with. And I think that's the true meaning of what we do and being a successful leader and tapping on shoulders, mentoring others. So I go a lot to places and a lot of conferences, and I don't hang out with my agents. I hang out with other people's agent, but I mentor them and I try to tell them, here's this, that. They go, oh my God, I've been an agent 8 years in my company. My boss, my company doesn't do this or that, and you're teaching me so much more within this. And I go, if you want to learn, if you want to step up, I will help you. I would share my wins, my loss, my goods, my bads, all of that. I'm an open book.
Well, thank you, because I think that's the beauty of this conversation, and what we try to bring to the Woman Up community is really just that vulnerability and authenticity,
Mhm.
right? I think that's sometimes lacking, although not in my world because I hang out with all of you ladies. But and just as an aside, I have so many aunties and uncles thanks to my dad, and my dad's Asian. So, it's an Asian thing for those non-Asians, just so you know. It
We're
is
motherly. Well, I'm very motherly.
it is it is an Asian thing, but maybe it's more people, but that is so funny that I felt that right there. Um so I'm going to switch gears a little bit to talk about boundaries, because when we're talking about like the Woman Up community and women in particular, we have trouble setting some smart and needed boundaries because we want to be everything to everybody most of the time, right? I know I do. I'm a mom, I'm a partner, I'm a leader at my in my organization, and I just want to be there for everybody, but I know that it comes at a cost, right? So how do you balance that being there for everybody and all the time with, preserving your sanity? Uh, so I'm not sure who wants to take that one, but I think we all feel it, right? We all feel it, especially now when communication is so fast and furious.
Yeah,
Do you
I
have
feel
boundaries,
like I'm not
Jamie?
I'm not the greatest at this because I usually answer my clients or my agents as long as I'm awake. But and I'm especially accommodating for any of my like international clients, right, that are overseas because obviously I have to be. But I think it's definitely okay to set boundaries and go to rest, right? Like when I was a newer agent, I'm not kidding, I would sleep with my phone like next to my head, and like if somebody called me at 2 a.m., I would, hello, like just in case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. now, when I decide I'm gonna go to bed for the night, I do actually put my phone on do not disturb, and you
That's
know,
what I
I
do.
try to actually have a restful sleep. Why is my camera getting blurry? And then yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to set your boundaries. And when I am going to be traveling or hard to reach for a period of time, I'll let my clients know in advance what they should expect during the whole time anyway. So they shouldn't necessarily need me, but if they have an emergency, they know when I can respond and when who to contact in my absence. So, and I'm working on trying to like set more boundaries while still being able to service my agents and my clients, because that's like thing that they usually, most of them like most about me is that I respond very quickly.
Well, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because
Yeah.
you have to do it. I think the key right there, what I'm hearing from you, Jamie, is really just setting the expectation. And it goes back to our, original conversation. It's like when I'm out and I'm like, look, I'm going on vacation or I'm going on leave or whatever. And then oops, speaking of boundaries, my daughter is calling me because I think
Yeah.
needs to come home from school. So I'd love for Samantha to take this question and share with the team while I answer my daughter's question. Thank you so much. So
I don't know if there's such thing as boundaries because people always say that I don't sleep, which I probably don't. I go to bed really late and I wake up really early. But I'm like Jamie, we work on our clients' time, but some of my agents does call me at 9, 10 o'clock with help, and I try to help them. But um, by 11 o'clock, I try not to respond. And if I don't respond, it's fine. But you work on your client's time. And the one fear that a lot of agents have is when they go on vacation, they don't want their eight clients to know. They don't want their clients to know they're on vacation. I usually don't post any of my vacation pictures till after I come back because the fear of oh, you went on vacation, you don't care about my house not selling and this and that. You don't want some of that, but you love your client, but then you also have a life also. One of the best
that's
of,
a healthy boundary.
yes,
And
one of
I
the
think
very best
vacations are a healthy boundary too.
One of
Sorry.
the very best advice I ever got when I started real estate as a single mom of my daughter was 5 and 6 at that time was an agent telling me, goes, you need to prioritize everything. Don't tell your client you're busy as a room mom or picking up your kids. Treat them as a client. They will respect you 10 times more. And I did that. The first time I tell them I gotta go pick up my daughter, I'm late. They go, hello, don't we matter? And then I just go, you know what? I already have another set appointment I cannot miss. I love you, but I have another day. You're like, oh, okay, I know you're busy. I know you have other clients. I mean, the reaction and the way they talk is so much different. So being professional and setting boundaries, but also treat yourself, right? Your self-love, your time, your massages could be an appointment. Just tell your clients you have appointments. They will respect you that much more. It's the way how you talk to someone and how, so your kids are an appointment, your husband's an appointment, your timeout with yourself is an appointment. If you're driving, they don't need to know everything. I mean, we're being honest, but the honesty is appointments in life, right? It's work-life balance, but everything, if you treat it as an appointment, you will have that much more sanity back and not having to feel bad or being talked down to because they don't feel like they're your number one priority. Everybody's our number one priority, but how you look at it, how you say it, and how you come across is differently.
Yeah, I love that. And thank you for
Sometimes clients will like try to take advantage of you too.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you set boundaries, they won't, if they're not happy about it or they don't respect them, then they may just not be a good fit to be your client. Like
We fire clients
I've,
right now.
yeah,
We fire a lot of needy clients, even listings. Like, you don't want our $1 million listings. I go, not if you're going to be this way. No, we need our sanity. We need sleep too, but
yeah.
it's
It's
okay
one
to
thing,
fire
it's like
people.
one thing when they need a lot of help, but it's another thing when you like offer them solutions and then they think they know better than you, right? And they
yeah.
don't listen to you and then they're not letting you guide the transaction anyway, but they still need all your time. And
Hmm.
these people usually end up being the most time consuming. They exhaust you emotionally and physically so that you don't have time for your actual clients that you want to focus on. So sometimes you just have to let them go. And so many times I've taken on listings that I had a gut feeling from the beginning that it was going to be a hard to deal with client. And then, 3 months later, I have to fire them or something after I wasted all this time. And
Time and
it's like
money.
sometimes you have to go with your gut. You just know from the beginning that this person's going to be awful. you know, you have to just say no sometimes.
Mhm.
I think that's an important lesson that we could all take, right? Is not everyone is worth working with. And it's about respect, right? Respecting yourself, respecting your business, respecting that you have to, Samantha, go pick up your kid, or Jamie, that you have another client, or you need to go to, handle something out. Like we have lost respect, and I love that you both are setting the expectation with your clients that, respect my time and I'll respect yours. I
The
really,
only boundaries I didn't set for myself was my kids. They used to be yelling at me every time I'm picking them up late from school. The last one, they'll be crying. And the junior high school, my daughter's an agent now. You know what she says? Mom, how did you even do this? Oh my God. I go, you're only dealing with one client at a time. Try dealing with 5 to 20 to 40 clients at a time. And you're doing all this. She's like, I have no idea how you did that, Mom. This is so hard. Real estate is not easy. How do you make it so easy? And you took care of us and you did everything. You were there. I go, exactly. So all that screaming and yelling that you did at me, I should get an apology for all of that. So, we're all human beings. We all try our best. Yeah.
It's so true. And my daughter just yelled at me on the phone. She needed Advil. So thank you all for your patience as I answered the nurse's call to make sure that she got her Advil. Yeah, our kids make us humble and yeah. All right. I love this conversation. I love you too. I really appreciate you both. And can I give a huge shout out to Aria? Aria has been a huge supporter of Woman Up and vice versa, right? CAR is a huge supporter of ARIA. And you have two amazing leaders in the ARIA space. So I just wanted to take a moment to shout out to them, to you all. I love ARIA. I'm a member and a fan. And let's close out with maybe some practical takeaways. Let's start with Jamie. What one system or process or thing would you implement to, if you could just wave a magic wand to, increase clarity and respect, everything we've been talking about, how would you culminate that into better communication with your clients?
Yeah, I think just a centralized CRM or a place to document your workflow with templates and just task tracking, very simple, I think is all you really need to start with. That's like the base. And then, you can create consistency because consistency scales much faster and better than going by memory or just by,
Yeah.
doing whatever you feel like at the moment.
Yep. Consistency creates clarity for sure. Speaking of consistency, Samantha, like if you could wave a magic wand as well, like what is one operating rule or standard you would put in place in your brokerage in on your team
What
to
I
improve that consistency so that
If
improve.
you're writing down notes and stuff, try to do it in one place where you can get to it. Like when I first started in Women's Council and stuff, I use Evernote. I thought Evernote was the best place because you can always go back to refresh on it. And but now, whatever works for you, the phones right now have reminders or a checklist, but always type it in. You can always go back to it and you can use it to implement it into your CRM. But you start writing on paper and stuff, you're gonna lose it or you won't even go back to it. You're gonna go, it's like, where's that paper? Always try to make notes and do tasks for yourself. If you have tasks, you will be that much more successful because you're going to check it off. And then whatever you're not finished, you bring it to the next day. And that's how you stay on top of things. And if you stay on top of things, you can close more deals, you can do more transaction, you can get more stuff done. People go, Sam, you are in so many places, so many, how do you do it all? I go, I live off my calendar. If it's, I wake up, I look at my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it's not there. I won't be there. So I always tell people if they invite me to stuff, I go, please put it on my calendar or I'll put it on myself and then I'll invite whoever I need to. But just being that consistent, but you utilize your technology. Technology is not going away. It's just going to keep advancing. Right now, it's like our brokerage is like we can talk to our site app now to write up contracts, to write up listing. I mean, it's so advancing. We have to keep continuing educating ourselves because we can't miss the boat. I know my daughter says don't use AI, but you have to. If you don't use it, you're not going to grow. And you're not going to grow, you can't keep up with it, right? So
Yep.
you always have to continue educating yourself. So like being on the business technology forum, I was like, you can't just use one person to talk about AI. Let's try to get three different top people to get the different mindsets and how they do, because not one person would do everything identical to the other person.
Yeah. Yeah. Even our AIs pop out different things,
Mhm,
right? Like
mhm.
my chat versus Claude versus Copilot, like they're all different.
They're
And
listening
mine
to
is
you.
different
That's
from,
why.
yeah, I know mine is different from yours, right? I love that advice about writing it down. And for me, I will say I used to use Evernote. I loved
Mhm.
Evernote until they
Yeah.
started charging me. So I'm like, I'm all about the free
It
tools.
was so good to share notes with people.
I know it was great. I stopped using it because of the fee or whatever. But one of the things, and I'll just give you my advice, I actually have to write it down, like physically write it down. Some people don't. I
Oh,
do
I write it down so I can remember it. If I
that
wrote it
that's
down, I'll
exactly what I was
remember it. If I
that's
don't write it,
exactly
I
what I
can't
was
remember
going to
it.
say. It will go away. If I
Mhm.
write it, type it, it does not retain for me. It's a mind muscle memory situation. But my life hack is if you have like, not sensitive information, but you write down notes like you're with a client, you write down notes. I did this with my son. He was going to college or starting the college application process, and he was like, this is what I want. So I like circled like football and da da da. And like I just wrote the notes and then I took a picture of it and uploaded it to Chat GPT and it spit out some colleges that you wanted to like he should go look at, right? Like, I mean, it is one example of how you can write it down physically, but also then have it summarized and
Mhm.
help you. So it's the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Okay, rapid fire closing for each of you. Um, one word, what's the biggest risk of unclear communication? I'm gonna start with Samantha this time. The biggest risk of unclear communication.
Confusion.
Okay, awesome. Jamie, one word. What's the best payoff for consistent and clear communication?
Trust.
Beautiful. Well, folks, did you learn something? I did. I hope you did. I just want to give Jamie and Samantha a huge round of applause. You got the hearts and the emojis coming at you. Last final words of wisdom for each of you, round robin. Let's go with Jamie.
I would just say don't necessarily add too many tools or technologies to your stack just to have technology. I know people that try to add every single technology to their stack. More technology does not necessarily create better results. So use simplicity and whatever works for you and that you could be consistent with.
Yeah, and something that you can understand and know, right? Like use well. Samantha.
It's okay to ask for help from others, whoever is succeeding or doing something right, because we're Women Up is about empowering other women. We're here to help one another. If I don't know something, I'll ask. When I started real estate, I didn't know how to type, copy and paste. I learned that from some. I go, how did you do that? She goes, copy and paste. I go, oh my God, that is like the best thing in the world. And then I messed up. They go Control Z when you get it back. I was like, oh my God, that's a lifesaver. So it's okay to ask for help, but always stay humble and be true to yourself. But use the tools that you have, but don't overload yourself, like Jamie said, because if you're trying to overload yourself, you can't be great. Be great at one thing and be great doing it and just keep adding on to it.
I love that. Well, you will see these ladies at Woman Up. We will see you next month. June 24th is our next live. And we're going to double down. We're going to talk more about AI with Marky Lemons, a woman
He's
up.
amazing.
She is amazing. She loves Woman Up and she really wants to come share her wisdom as well. So thank you all. See you
Thank
next
you.